What happens when you need to go to the doctor? Maybe you started experiencing some new pain, localized swelling, your taste is off, you just feel sick, but something is stopping you from going to the doctor. And what is it? The scale. You feel shamed every time the number isn't right, and your doctor doesn't even listen to what you're saying. Every time you go for a toothache or a sore neck, it's the same story. Just lose weight.
Doctor, I get nausea in the morning inexplicably.
Yeah, that would just fix itself if you just lost weight.
But doctor, my arm is broken.
Yeah, once again, I gotta reiterate the weight loss. You'd feel a lot better if you did it.
Doctor, I've been impaled.
You see, it would just be a lot better to remove that if you just lost weight. And the list goes on and on and on and on. It's a huge problem that's been touted by the body positivity community and of course that activist community as the biggest example of discrimination against larger bodied people.
Nothing pisses me off more than doctors who don't listen to their patients, especially when their patients are overweight and they got a little fat phobia going on.
Fat women absolutely get discriminated against by their doctors, and it's horrible.
This is in response to me saying that I had a doctor that told me to go to the zoo for a scan because I was like too fat for like the people scanners or whatever the fuck.
I went to the doctor today. Found out something I had no fucking idea about. I'm obese. Who knew?
Some of us, I don't want to name names, make pretty bad throat noises when they drink. And it makes me think that the throat is
me?
No.
Is it me?
It's not Travis.
The pain they must endure, the lack of quality medical care. But is that the case? They certainly can't all be lying, right? And many seem to share very similar stories when it comes to the doctor. So, let's dive into it. By the way, guys, if you do feel this way, there are databases and websites that help you. I've got them in the description below, and there is a search engine one that I found that makes it super easy for those looking for a doctor that will hopefully listen to you.
Not only have I chosen to remain fat and happy instead of thin and miserable, I'd actually rather get diabetes than be miserable. Can you believe it?
Social media. It has taken over most people's lives in the modern era. Social media can have its faults, but it also can be very positive. A source of information, a great tool to find friends, even love, or communities of people that share our same hobbies, has given a voice to people who might not have had a voice through their adolescence. The individuals that were considered the nerds of the school, the geeks, the freaks, the people that weren't popular because of their looks.
You look good. Did you lose weight?
Yeah, actually I lost 10 pounds over the summer.
That's great. So you're a size, what, like 28, 30 now?
Hashtag flabulous.
And with social media, it gives people a platform to finally be heard, to finally have their voice on topics that society wouldn't listen to because of their looks or their image. Or maybe it was so outlandish, such a weird opinion in the real world, people casted them aside, and maybe even laughed at them. Social media has given many a sense of purpose, belonging, and community. But with social media and the power of it, its presence can give light to individuals who sprout complete misinformation to push a narrative that only benefits them. In this case, I'm talking about the rise of fat positive doctors. So what is a fat positive doctor? Well, first, let's define fat positivity. Fat acceptance is a form of activism that exposes and challenges the barriers fat people face in society. According to the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, or NAAFA, states we envision a culture where all fat people are free, celebrated, and liberated from every form of oppression. Not using the word help.
Now, there are a few words that I don't allow when somebody comes into my house, and healthy is one of them.
No diet culture, such as counting calories, before and after pictures, having size inclusivity for all fats. This goes for more clothing options.
Here's the thing about stocking sizes. They're not stocking our sizes because they're not making them at all.
No weight limits when it comes to things like horse riding and roller coasters. Comfortable seats at the doctor's office.
If you want to be a great ally to fat people, here are some things you can do. When you go to the doctor, encourage them to do the following things. Eliminate any weight or BMI cutoff policies. Set up their office in a way that makes it usable for fat people, like putting chairs without arms in every room.
There seems to be a lack of doctors who actually care about fat patients, who listen, and doctors who constantly bring up their obesity. Where are the doctors who listen? Where are the doctors who don't talk about obesity? Well, when there's a hole in the market, someone's going to roll onto it and help the people. And Liora Naor did just that. Larmé? You know what? We don't even need to use their name. Most people know them as the Fat Doctor UK, who has made such controversial statements as losing weight is literally impossible.
A lot of people like to compare smoking with being fat because supposedly both are bad for your health. And there's two things I want to say here. First of all, smoking is a behavior, weight is not. You can change your behavior, you can't change your weight.
But the most controversial statement Asher has made tends to be that being overweight causes absolutely nothing, zilch, of side effects.
Did you know that there's absolutely no evidence out there that proves that being fat causes any diseases? I'm talking about diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, knee pain, joint pain, you name it.
Well, let's go and just hop on the old Google train really quick and do a quick search. Well, look at that. First thing that pops up is a site called The Truth About Health. Talks about the effects of obesity and trying to get to the root of the issue when it comes to mental health. The second is a list of issues many start seeing as the scale creeps up to the danger zone from the CDC, which is the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, where they list a crazy amount of problems that doesn't sound too fun. But dang it, they list off BMI, so never mind. Everyone, this is incredible. CDC, saving lives, protecting people, not with using that fat-phobic tool. No effects, no problems, everything's normal. And even though there are years of proof, studies, examples, and research to refute Asher, they staunchly shout from the mountaintops or on TikTok that there's absolutely no proof. No one can prove that being overweight causes any conditions.
I'm talking about diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, knee pain, joint pain, you name it. There's absolutely no evidence.
Anyone else love how they clarify at the top with, yes, I am a real doctor. I know I sound like an idiot, and you probably don't believe I'm a doctor because this is basic human knowledge, but don't let that fool you. I am, in fact, a doctor. And they aren't lying. Rumors have spread, though, that Asher's license got revoked, yanked, and yoinked. I didn't find any proof, but there's just rumors, so one can only hope. I usually root for people to do well, but I am rooting for them to fail. I am. I want them to fail. But what we do know that they're currently seeing 121 patients, triple digits, and counseling them. So one can only imagine what they're saying to these people who most likely already have a mental problem. And this mental problem is not getting better because the food that their clients are eating is most likely fried, high calorie, packaged, high sugar junk food, which is scientifically proven, not that these people care about science, but in the real world, that type of food is scientifically proven to fuck up your brain.
In our morning rounds, the emerging science on how food affects your mood. Government figures show more than 16 million American adults report having a major episode of depression in the past year. Women are affected more often than men. A new field of study, nutritional psychiatry, looks at how diet can improve mental health.
So we found progressively increased consumption of high glycemic index foods and also added sugars, which are sugars that are not naturally found in foods, were associated with increased risk for depression. We had approximately 70,000 participants in our study, and these were all postmenopausal women drawn from the United States. It was a very diverse population from different states. There have been other studies that have been done with other populations, with men and with younger women, and they found higher glycemic index foods to be associated with depression.
But there has been recent research in this emerging field in the last 5 years that shows that healthier dietary patterns can reduce the risk of things like depression and anxiety.
So that's not even talking about obese people. Now, add being obese on top of those issues, there has been plenty of studies done to show that Just being obese increases the chances of depression. Sure, okay, to the people who are 400 pounds and you say you eat healthy, whatever that means, and you never eat junk food, you never eat fast food, you never eat fried food, fine, you're excluded. You are the epitome of health and I bow to you. But for the other people who are obese, most likely you are obese because you eat foods that are packaged, fast food, high in sugar, high in carbs, low in protein, drink their calories, and low in fiber. Mix that food with just the toll it takes to move your body as an obese person. There's no reason obese people have a higher chance of being depressed and anxious, and these people who have issues that need to be tended to are being coached by someone who clearly has an agenda, a negative outlook when it comes to weight loss, and someone who has clearly had trauma from the weight loss industry. Yes, the Fat Doctor UK has gone on their own weight loss journey and documented it. Their goal was to be a famous weight loss doctor.
Let's rewind a few months to July 2020, a mere 6 months before Fat Doctor went on that TV show. They were singing a completely different tune.
About a month ago, I started trying to lose weight. I am on a mission to lose 40 kilograms in the next year. I believe in weight loss the hard way. I don't think it's meant to be easy because I don't think anything worth doing ever is.
I decided that I was going to keep a permanent record of my amazing weight loss journey by blogging about it. I had grandiose dreams of becoming a world famous weight loss doctor. My first blog post was entitled Weight Loss the Hard Way.
Thank you so much, Keanu, for snatching that footage from their page before everything got deleted, literally. The Fat Doctor UK only has a podcast page. They show that their main page always gets deleted for the information they put out, but of course they say it's hate speech because Instagram hates fat people. But when I listened to all the things the Fat Doctor would say, they really sounded like someone who had been hurt by what they would call diet culture. They sound like most people from the fat acceptance community, a bunch of people who are very insecure, tries to lose weight with a crash diet, and then burned out and failed. Maybe they failed a few times and they think they did everything possible and they are lost. Lost until help reaches out. And according to the Fat Doctor, they got noticed, not by the weight loss industry, but by popular fat activists like Virgie Tovar, you know, the girl who gets offended that someone wants a smaller slice of cake. And many of these popular fat activists informed the doctor about the right path. They opened their eyes. And after the doctor learned about the world of fat positivity, the Fat Doctor UK was born.
Not only have I chosen to remain fat and happy instead of thin and miserable, but I also don't care if it puts me at high risk of heart disease and diabetes. I'd actually rather get diabetes than be miserable.
And now tries to actively disprove studies, but not the ones that help further their narrative and business. Fat Doctor UK will discredit any study that has shown the effects of obesity, but will bring up the study that most people try to lose weight will regain it, so why even do it anyway?
Because that's actually the greatest predictor of weight gain, is going on a diet. The weight loss industry is going to try and convince you that I'm wrong, because they don't want to acknowledge the fact that actually most people, when they go on a diet, actually end up gaining weight.
They always talk about mental health and how restricting will negatively affect that, all while saying the diet industry profits off fat people and does more harm than good. And when they are challenged that the fact that the fast food and junk food industry makes more money than the diet industry, they say that has nothing to do with anything, especially obesity.
Lolita Lillian says the diet industry is nowhere near as powerful or as wealthy as the sugar and fast food industry. Being fat makes you ill. Every study supports this. First of all, what on earth has the sugar and fast food industry got to do with anything?
A lot, actually. Sugar is addictive, therefore people will eat it in high volume and feel that they need it, and they will keep paying more money for it. Fast food is extremely cheap and very palatable, which makes it a lot easier for people of all income levels to purchase it. A lot of the fast food comes with a free soda, also adding to that sugar addiction I brought up about 5 seconds ago, but I'll let them finish.
Why do people automatically assume that because we're fat, it's because we eat too much sugar and fast food?
Okay, sorry, I can't let them finish because it would be very rude for me not to answer this question. Now, I don't agree that all obese people eat fast food, but if I walk into a fast food restaurant, usually most of the people are obese. Just as if I'm walking through the grocery store and decide to look in people's cart, the people who have carts full of candy, high sugar food, microwave foods, they are usually obese as well. Is this for everyone? Of course not. But usually, that's how it is. They asked where the stereotype comes from. The stereotype comes from reality, but the Fat UK doctor does not live there, so no wonder why they look so confused.
I get that that's what you've been taught to believe, but why is it that you always have to make fast food the villain and imply that we are the greedy, gluttonous human beings that cannot help ourselves? The idea that being fat makes you ill is a gross generalisation and is not in any way supported by real evidence. The fact that you have to bring the fast food and sugar industry into this says so much about you and absolutely nothing about me. For more facts and less fiction, assumptions and propaganda, check out www.fatdoctor.co.uk.
Don't worry, I won't force you to go to another website to look up some facts. I'll give you a few, but you can always check my work or do your own research. Let's bring out the king of chips. At least in my world, the wonderful, delicious Cheeto. Worldwide, this puffy chip racked up $4 billion. That's Cheetos alone. Now let's get to the whole potato chip industry. We're not counting Little Debbie cakes and other candies, just the chip industry was worth $7.74 billion in 2016. Supposedly that will grow to $45.7 billion come 2025. We're almost there, you guys. We can do it. Chip companies pay big money to have a whole science team to make sure they get the crunch, taste, salt, and fat ratio just right so you can't just eat one. You need the whole bag, baby, and maybe a few more. The diet industry is worth $3.8 billion. The chip industry trumps the evil diet culture industry, as you would call it, my lovely fat-friendly delusional doctor, and that is just chips. And to be clear, both have evil individuals in it, and both have their problems. Both are trying to make money, but don't act like there is no such thing as a weight gain industry. It literally has you wrapped around their finger. The fat UK doctor is pretty much doing the exact same thing that the fat-phobic doctors do when a fat individual has a problem, dismissing their issue because they're too lazy to actually do the work and figure out what is actually wrong. If it's between you and me, in the fat, Dr. UK's case, they're dismissing the issue to make themselves feel better about their laziness in not taking care of their body and the fact that they failed their own health.
About a month ago, I started trying to lose weight. I am on a mission to lose 40 kilograms.
And now they want to bring you down with them. And also, just because I want to show how hypocritical the fat UK doctor is, they promote body acceptance. They speak out on horrible fat-phobic doctors and individuals. They talk about people who bully fat people and mock fat people, but they actually do the same exact thing to muscular bodies. Similar to the diet industry or weight loss in general, the Fat Doctor UK seems to have a very deep hate for athletes or muscular people. This comment reads, "You don't know, haha. Having more muscle boosts your confidence, increases your metabolism, and reduces your chances of diabetes."
Oh boy, that's I agree with the first part of the statement. Having muscles does boost your confidence, and that's because we live in a world where people think having muscles is attractive. I personally think it's gross, but
The hypocriticalness is coming out. Not a fat-positive doctor who fights for the respect of bodies no matter what they look like, curling up their face in disgust and then saying muscles are disgusting. Not a doctor that calls out people for body shaming obese individuals, then body shames muscular people. Interesting. Now, like I said, the Fat UK doctor says there is no risks to obesity. They have no clue what the hell people are talking about, but for some reason they love to tell people who follow them about the risks of exercise.
I wonder whether all these experts who are committed to athletics and bodybuilding ever discuss the risks of exercise on your health, like sudden cardiac death, which of course is a very rare risk, but it does happen. More and more evidence is suggesting there is a U-shaped curve between the relationship between exercise and death. In other words, extreme and strenuous exercise might actually increase your risk of death rather than decreasing it. Whilst very rare, people with an underlying silent cardiovascular health problem can die through exercise. But more importantly, extreme exercise has been shown to cause cardiac remodeling. In fact, 50% of elite athletes have an enlarged left ventricle. 15% of them are so enlarged that they meet the criteria for cardiomyopathy, a dangerous and deadly condition. This is part 2 of my response. Check out part 1, otherwise it's not going to make sense. But people who are committed to athletics and bodybuilding are not necessarily healthier than the average population. Sorry, they're not. Just because you can bench press a certain amount of weight doesn't make you healthy. And first of all, we'd have to define health. So are you talking about how long they'll live, their quality of life? Are we talking about ability to survive a serious trauma or infection? Are we talking about cardiovascular health? Health is really hard to define, but there really isn't any evidence that elite athletes and bodybuilders are better at surviving infections or trauma. There is evidence that athletes have a higher incidence of high blood pressure, although this hasn't been investigated enough for us to make conclusive statements. So the injuries, early onset arthritis, drug abuse, mental health conditions, eating disorders. Need I say more?
I found this very, very interesting that my favorite fat doctor decided to use studies for people who exercise like athletes, or are athletes, or train competitively, as if most people train like a bodybuilder. Let's be completely honest, most people go for a 20-30 minute walk, if that, and lift about 5 to 10 pound dumbbells for about 30 minutes, if that. And then they go about their merry way, which is completely fine. It's great to lift, it's great to move your body. But the fat UK doctor loves to say diet culture is fear-mongering the fat people. Doctors are fear-mongering when they bring up health and obesity. But then they bring up studies talking about professional athletes. Professional athletes make up less than 1% of the population. Fat UK doctor, you are dismissed. Fat positive doctors are one thing, but what about fat positive counselors? A person trained to give guidance on personal, social, or psychological problems. There's 3 main types of counseling: psychodynamic, humanistic, and behavioral approaches. Well, now those can be influenced by fat studies with the help of Laura. The cute fat queer on TikTok, not only does she have a MA in social justice, but she also has one in counseling. Or maybe it's social justice counseling? I don't know. But I know she went to school to counsel people, and many people who have watched her are weary of the facts that she says and questioning whether she has an actual background in counseling.
So now I'm having people duet my videos and trying to shame me and discredit me.
Many people don't even think she went to school for this and asked her to prove those credentials. And how did she deal with these critiques? She says it's not her job to spoon feed this info to people, and she also doesn't have to prove anything to anyone, especially her education.
And say all these nasty things about me. That's a fun thing to wake up to in the morning. I'm putting myself out here on the internet because I actually have good things to say. I have smart things to say. I have truthful things to say. But it's not my responsibility to spoon feed it to you.
But I'm sure she has it. I mean, people don't lie on the internet. Never.
It's not my responsibility to prove anything to you. If you are having questions about what I'm saying, go read something.
She also says education is bullshit.
I'm 2 years away from a doctorate that I could do if I really wanted to, but I don't, because grad school is torture, and it's also a bunch of bullshit.
And of course, my favorite, oh my god, you're critiquing someone who's in a marginalized body? How dare you? How small of you.
And you want to use your social media to say crappy things about someone who is in a marginalized body. You're special. You really need another hobby.
I wanted to bring Laura up because if someone was to counsel me, I would want them to be completely, at least for the most part, pretty mentally stable, which I'm not a counselor, a therapist, or anything, but I have my doubts. I would like someone who's not biased, holds me accountable, and lastly, doesn't spout this type of information. It's like if my counselor was a bodybuilder and they were saying, just keep bodybuilding, Michelle. Take these steroids, take these other growth hormones. It's fine. Just keep doing it. It's healthy. But that's just me. I guess if she's a social justice counselor, the whole stereotype with social justice warriors is that they don't hold themselves accountable. So I guess, and she's doing great because she literally refuses to hold herself accountable when it comes to obesity.
People like to say, aren't you concerned for your health? As a fat person, aren't you concerned? Yeah, I'm concerned about my health, but it has nothing to do with fat. It has things to do with the environment that I live in, social determinants of health. It has to do with the oppression that I feel, not having access to good medical care, or food, or shelter.
Wait, hold up. I know the camera is very close to her face and she takes up most of the screen, but in all her videos, she has shelter. So now she's just listing things off.
That affects my health, not my body size. You've been lied to, I've been lied to, and once you actually wake up from that lie, you become kind of angry. Why would they lie to us about this? Capitalism. They're making money off of you. Plain and simple.
Can we notice how she listed off all the reasons as to why she's obese, and not once did she mention food intake and the amount of it? If we're going to list off everything, we have to list off everything. The main reason is a surplus of calories. Yes, the other things can help out with that, but the main reason is a surplus of calories. I don't need to go deep into this person. Many people kept sending me her page, and I didn't find her very different than any other fat activist, except for the fact that she's someone who counsels people. I found that interesting that fat activism is really infiltrating areas in the medical world, the mental health world. I get so many messages from college students taking pictures of textbooks or recording a speaker that is talking about, you guessed it, fat acceptance. It's wild. This is our future. Obesity. If you want to say that doctors are harming fat people with their fat phobia, fine, but these individuals are just as toxic and damaging as what they are trying to protect fat people from: death, because many of them claim that fat people die from doctors who won't properly diagnose them. You be the judge of that. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. I have so many video topics coming, but if you have any topic ideas, deep dives that you want me to dive deep into, please let me know. Leave it in the comment section. I'd love to see what you drum up in your little head. Now go out, enjoy your day, do something positive, pet a dog, kiss them on the forehead, dance in the street naked while it chases you. You do what makes you happy, and if being fat makes you happy, then do it. Eat the hot Cheetos for me. I'm very jealous. But don't say that it's healthy and it doesn't exist, because it does. Love you, bye.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
By the way, a disclaimer, I am not to blame if you get charged for indecent exposure, okay? That's all on you. But enjoy yourself. Stupid.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. I've been on the flex since flex on. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared.